Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Sacred Fertility Talks. My name is Dr. Pamela. I'm an acupuncturist, herbalist, and today we are still walking the path of call in the baby. So this week we are exploring food, not just food as a fuel, but food as our spiritual guidance. I'm sure everyone aware that we are currently at the peak of summer and fall season is just right around the corner. So today we are trying to tune in to our own inner fire, especially the digestive fire. Remember the digestive fire, this is the one that cooking your food inside your belly. Okay, this is not about trying to decide what type of diet you have to have right now. This is about intuition, how you take food, how the body craving for something intuitively so you can align yourself during this time of the year. So as always, I'm joined with my radiant friend, Dr. Erin, acupuncturist, herbalist, and also a fertility coach. Welcome, my friend.
Hello. I am excited that we're back to talk about this week. And summer's a long season. So it seems like we've already talked about it quite a bit, but especially if you live anywhere near where we are in the South, we still have a few more months of the heat to deal with. So I think it's really important that we just keep reminding people of some of these similar principles. And I was telling Dr. Pamela right before we started, I feel like this part in the summer is when you go outside and all the flowers that you planted in the spring have gotten leggy and ugly and nobody's really blooming a lot. And then if you don't water them for a few hours, they've all fainted. You go outside and all the plants look sad. And I think people can hit that place too. And so that's where we are. We're at the peak of summer where it's still really hot and we don't really feel the excitement of it anymore. It's been hot for a while. So we
Yes.
have to keep finding ways to get through that and to keep taking care of our body until we get to the cool that comes in a few months. So it's an important topic.
Yes. So let's move on to the first segment that we're going to talk about, the spiritual role of food in the summer. Like Dr. Erin was saying, with all the situation that it's too hot, it's kind of leggy. So we try to find a way to make the food give us the guidance on how to live in alignment with the season.
Mhm.
So let's talk about summer again. So I know we've been talking about summer, but let's just do some little brief
Mhm.
introduction. So in five element, according to traditional Chinese medicine, summer season ruled by the heart organ. When you talk about the heart organ, right? The color of the heart is red. Red is fire is what? That's the summer season. You see the correlation? So this element is always associated with joy, connection, and expression. That's the reason why summer is the busiest month among all the season. Dr. Erin was just telling me she has visitors nonstop for summer. So with that in mind, so we have to pay attention not to get burned out. Of course, sharing your joy with people, connection with people, it especially takes a lot of your heart energy during summertime because you are sharing not just with the season, but you sharing that with other peoples. So that's the reason why we're talking about this topic today. So we want to eat some food that help us to anchor the body. All right. So Dr. Erin gonna tell us how we gonna anchor our body and prepare us for the slower rhythm of the fall season.
So, if you think about what we traditionally look at as summer foods and the harvest, what's available, what's abundant right now, more locally, even nationwide, not what's coming from Chile or another country and coming on a truck, right? Those things are not necessarily local to us. But the way that the system is already designed is that the foods of summer are naturally more cooling and more hydrating. So when I talk to clients and they're like, oh, it's January and they're drinking green smoothies and eating lots of berries, that's not the right season for those things. Berries are in season in the hot months for a reason. So when you think about what's in your environment and you follow along, we've got watermelon and cantaloupe and honeydew and cucumbers are everywhere. And those are all hydrating, cooling foods. So, if we learn how to follow our intuition and follow what sounds good to you in the moment, you can really naturally follow the path that's laid out of this is what's good to eat right now. So, that's part of what intuitive means. It's just sort of paying attention to the season and what is abundant and then what sounds good to you. If I said, I want you to sit down and eat a big bowl of chili with lots of hot peppers and all, you wouldn't necessarily think, I really want to eat that right now. You might think, ooh, that sounds heavy. That is a wintry food.
Yes.
So in summer, we are choosing lighter meals. We want hydrating meals. So that doesn't just mean cold salads and sandwiches, things that are tonight in our house, we're having a big pot of butter beans with onions and herbs and some squash and zucchini on the side. And I'm sure I'll come up with a little bit of meat because everybody loves a little meat, some chopped ham or something. But it's a really light dish. But that big pot of beans with all that fiber in it, it holds the warmth without being heavy and hard to digest. So it's a really nice way to end the day with a full warm tummy that's very liquidy and soft and digests really easily so that by the time we all go to bed tonight, it's already very well processed. So I want you to
Mhm.
think about things like that. What's around and how can you honor what sounds good to you and stay sort of in the season and let those two things match. So talked about the fruits, lots of those cooling vegetables, all the fresh herbs. It's definitely herb season. There's mint, parsley, basil, fennel is everywhere, dill. Everywhere you go, there's big green herbs that are sprouting. So gather those and just integrate that into your food. And simpler is better. Two or
Yes.
three ingredients is all you need. You don't have to make an extravagant meal with the long cooked sauce and all. That's winter food. Summer food is this looks really good. It's fresh. I'm going to put it on the plate, chop some stuff up, and drizzle it with some vinegar and oil. And that's it.
That's right. More like when you eat this type of food, remember you're not just feeding the belly, you are feeding your heart as well. When your stomach is too heavy to digest thing, right? It takes a lot of the heart energy to move the circulation. Just think of that. So that's the reason why the heart is basically the most active during summertime.
Mhm.
Moving forward, talking about food, and this is what I heard in clinical setting during summertime when I asked patient breakfast. Most people skip breakfast during summertime because they said, "Oh, I don't feel like to eat it. It's just too much. It's too hot or too whatever it is." But the thing is, right? We have to treat breakfast as a spiritual ritual, not a burden. So
Mhm.
when I talk about that, it's basically most people that struggle with headache or foggy brain or some sort of low energy, most of the time first thing in the morning, right? The stomach is literally telling you they need to be fed and you're not feeding them and it make you have the anxiety. So, and most people, they like to have this quick fix. When you have that muffin, bagels, all these sweets, right? Cereal. Some people ask me, oh, I had cereal. Cereal is not a breakfast. They were marketed as a healthy product to help you with timing. But again, think carefully. This is the shortcut to have more digestive illness. Don't you think, Dr. Erin?
I'm going to go as far as to say cereal is not a food.
Yeah,
Not
right.
only not a breakfast, it's not a lunch or a dinner or a snack. And I know even in my house, cereal shows up. Now, I don't buy it, but anyhow, it's a food product. There's just really minimal benefits. Even the best, most organic blah,
Yeah.
there's just not a lot of nutritional value in it other than being fibrous. But in a world where we're already fighting to get enough to eat that's nourishing, like you're giving up a big opportunity by choosing a big bowl of wet flakes instead of saying, I'm going to start my day by putting something in my temple that's going to make it beautiful. We always talk about preparing the palace and the body is the temple. That's such a theme. What would
Mm-hmm.
you put in your temple that makes it beautiful? Something that's fresh and bright and has a great smell, that sort of clean eating. And I don't like to use the term clean eating because I think we can go really sideways with it. But
Yes.
you got some beautiful fresh eggs. They're so pretty. You put them in the pan and the yolk comes to life. It's beautiful and it's rich and it's natural. And there's so much nutrition in that. So, 2 eggs and some slices of avocado and tomato, right? It's a very simple meal. It's not hard to make, it doesn't take a long time, but it's a completely different dynamic for nourishment and enrichment of your body versus a bowl of cereal or even overnight oats. That's really convenient, but it's not something you want to have multiple days a week for sure. It's almost like a dessert. So we really want to keep in place the idea of I have a few minutes to eat. What am I going to spend it doing? So, avocado toast, just try to get something whole. Put a couple of those little chicken sausages in a
Mm-hmm.
skillet and eat some fresh fruit. Something that's got your fat and your protein and a little bit of carbs is fine. You don't have to not have any carbs in the morning. But bagel, when was that bagel made? Was that bagel made 6 months ago and it's been sitting in that plastic bag on the shelf after being in a truck and the heat shipped across the country? When you think about it like that, it's easy to go, oh, I don't want that.
And when we think about fresh food, you made them in person, right? It has the vibrational energy. It's just like you need the instant energy to fuel you. So think about the cereal. It could be like it has been manufactured who knows when, right? Do you really think it has the vibrational energy? When I talk about vibrational energy, this is the one that fuel your cell body. I don't
Yeah,
think so. So
I
you
agree.
don't get that. That's why we
No,
talk about spiritual of the food.
that's right. And I will say, like, I will cave to some granola every once in a while. That will show up as a real craving of mine, especially
Mhm.
when it's hot and I don't really feel like working hard. But here's how you cheat. Well, you don't cheat. Here's how you amplify your granola. Don't have a big bowl of cereal. I get a third or a cup, just a small amount of the granola because it's already got all the sugar and the flavor in it. And
Mhm.
then I add fresh walnuts, hemp
Yes,
hearts, some whatever I've got, some sunflower seeds, coconut
yes,
flakes. I sprinkle all that yummy stuff on top of the granola. And then I might add some sliced apples or berries or whatever I have around. And I make, but I don't necessarily add the yogurt and all that stuff. I don't like to do a whole lot of dairy. But just putting all that extra stuff in the granola myself makes
mhm,
it more nourishing and a more complete meal. So if you have to reach for something that's already kind of done for you and simple, just think about what do I make that's going to put more nutrition in this? And just constantly be trying to think about how do I get more from this opportunity? How do I put more nourishment in my temple? I'm a coffee girl. I'm going to say the same thing about coffee. I'm a coffee girl, but I have learned to set some boundaries for myself because too much coffee is bad. Little coffee's not. It's the sugary stuff and the syrup and all the cream and the heavy stuff we put in the coffee, not really the coffee itself. But one of
mhm.
my tricks is I have my first cup of coffee in the morning. If I'm still craving something, another cup of coffee, I don't have it. I have a cup of hot tea. I have, in the summertime, I have mint tea or hibiscus tea or any of those sort of fresh herb teas. It seems to satisfy the want, but it's doing something that's a little more beneficial than adding more coffee. So don't feel like you can't have the coffee, but try not to have it with so much sugar, and then replace it with something else when you can, just so you have a little bit less, because it helps stabilize your chemistry for the day.
Yes, that's what we call intuitive eating, meaning you get something, the one that low vibration, and then you add the high vibration food, meaning the fresh food. So you can doing the ratio of 80 is fresh, 20 is the not fresh one. You still can do it, but like I said, it has to be listening to your body intuitively. Not just like, oh, I think I need there is a difference between intuitive and compulsive. Oh, I just want a deck now. So it's just instant gratification. But when you think through it, right? Is this good for me at this moment? Let me think about that. So you can make an intuitive decision and then smart decision as well,
Yeah.
right? So like Dr. Erin said, it doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need to be a brain surgeon for this. Keep it simple, keep it whole, and it helps you make yourself sustainable during summertime, the peak of summer. And then with that, we are moving forward for the summer salad with soul. So of
Mhm.
course, we have this question all the time. Oh, can I eat salad? Yes, obviously you can eat salad. All right. So my suggestion is you can eat salad in the morning because over here where we at, morning time is already hot. So of course you can incorporate some salad. But my way to with salad is I always put a little bit of warm of everything. So if I need everything fresh, I normally grate some ginger and then mix a little bit of fresh protein, chicken, beef, and then you can eat it for lunch as well if you choose to, but make sure you have some sort of broth to basically balance the heat, the coolness, and then the warm so the stomach doesn't get too bloaty. And then of course at night I don't encourage, even in summertime I don't encourage salad during dinner time.
I
Yeah.
think the other thing to say is there are different kinds of salads. If we're talking about your what you think of a green salad with all the toppings, the lowest vibrational frequency is that head of iceberg lettuce. There's just no nutrition in it. It's a lot of water. There's no nutrition in it. Bagged salads that's already chopped up and there's a 10 little plastic baggies and you dump this there, that again, that's if you can avoid that, one, it's a lot more expensive to pay for that than it is to just buy all the same ingredients. And then you can make 10 salads for the price of that one salad. So buy the whole head of lettuce and go home and chop it up yourself. And typically, if you do that, that's enough for like a whole week. Get exotic things, something that you don't recognize. One thing that I see at the farmer's market every week is the Florida, it's technically pronounced endive, from what I understand, but I think everybody calls it endive here. And it's like curly and frizzy. It looks like lettuce stuck its finger in a light socket. It's kind of wild. And it's got a very kind of pungency flavor, but you don't have to eat it by itself. Get some of that interesting exotic stuff and then mix it all up so that you've got different kinds of green and red things. Get the red lettuce. Get anything that you can't, because red and that purple lettuce, it's got more phytonutrients because it's of those colors. And when I was at the Standard Process Farm, at one of our meals, they served a salad that was made out of grilled radicchio, and I'd never had this. And radicchio, it looks almost like a cabbage and a lettuce had a baby. It's a small red lettuce that's bitter. Its flavor is predominantly bitter, and it's like a purple color, purple and white. And
Mhm.
so they took those and they split them and they grilled them so that they had warmed them and deactivated some of that bitterness. Then they chopped it up and tossed it in and dressed it in the salad. And it was absolutely delicious. And you see that more and more in restaurants where they have some sort of a grilled salad option. So Dr. Pamela is saying you can go out, go get your summer veggies. And currently I'm all about eggplant and mushrooms. And I will
Oh,
just
yeah.
chop it all up and saute it or grill it, whatever you want to do. And then it's in a big dish. And when I have my salad, I just get a scoop of that and I can warm it up and put it on my green salad and then add some toppings so that you're still integrating that cooling, hydrating meets the warming protectiveness of a little bit of that, the cooked elements. So you can put all of that together. And like she said, less is more. I'm a big boiled eggs fan. I always have a little bowl of boiled eggs that I can just chop up onto a salad, get some good crunchy bacon, a good quality, chop that up. 2 pieces of crispy bacon makes anything taste good.
Yes. Mhm.
Right? So think about it in those terms. Then add a layer of your nuts and seeds instead of croutons. Croutons are yummy for sure, but you can put something there. I love roasted pumpkin and sunflower seeds on top of a salad. Oh my gosh, it gives it that really delightful crunchiness, but there's a lot more nutrition in that there is in old stale bread. If you have to have a crouton, fine, but go ahead and put the sunflower seeds in there. So just even with a green salad, what else can I add to it that's going to give me something that's going to be of benefit to me?
And we can, to top up what Dr. Erin was just saying just now, if you are a fan of Thai food, the larb option is very good. Beef larb. So it has grilled beef and also a fresh vegetable. Well, they do this in Thailand, in Asia. They put all the fresh vegetables. You have fresh cucumber, fresh cilantro, fresh cabbage. This is when you mix them together, and then a little bit of chili. Of course, that's stimulating, balancing the heat and the coolness of the vegetable. So when you eat this, right, you feel a little bit of the heat, but at the same time, it's not taxing your stomach because everything is in balance. So, and then when you eat this type of food, it makes your heart just full, not
Mm.
just your belly. That's how we basically appreciate food, because it doesn't just nourish the belly, it is also nourish your spirit, right? Moving forward, the last one. So how do we prepare to shift for the fall? Since we are in the peak of summer right now, right? We are basically trickling down to the fall season. So August gonna be the starting of fall, even though it's still hot, but energetically it's basically rolling towards the September and October, the fall season. So this is when I call it, we get the energetic glitch. So when season transition, right, the body get all wonky and you get sick, you get cough, and then you get some sort of neurological disorder, Bell palsy, stroke, all these things, because the body at the highest peak, and then suddenly, right, if you don't prepare, right, it's just gonna crash. So it's better to prepare slowly, going down the hill slowly before we enter the cool season. So the way that I prepare myself for this, right? In the morning, we discussed just now, me and Dr. Erin discussed, you can eat all the summer food. But during nighttime, you can start introducing the fall type kind of food. Soupy thing, incorporate of spices like ginger. Ginger is the basic spices that basically you can use throughout the year. And that's the main thing, because ginger also digestion, and it's slowing down the progression for any type of illnesses. So that's the reason why I always have ginger wherever I go. Ginger tea, ginger candy, good kind of ginger candy. And it always helps. So if you do not have anything to prepare for this transition, right? At least you have a fresh ginger that you can get from the grocery store. And a way that you find a good ginger is get the fresh one. It looks like plumpy, not the dried one. The dried one has been there forever. Get the
Yeah.
plumpy one because it still have the energy or the energetic vibration that you can consume with you.
Absolutely. And if you go to the farmer's market, I try to go once a week, you'll see there's still a lot of colorful root vegetables. There's still sweet potatoes and purple potatoes and fingerling potatoes and this potato, lots. And those have that heading into fall energy. They're really good for the spleen. Those complex carbs and that colorful sweet potato is a lot better for us than the white potatoes. So
Yes.
adding a little bit of that to your meals, and I love a purple potato with dill. I drizzle it with vinegar and oil and fresh dill, and oh, it just makes the flavor of the potato really sing. And you'll start to see a change in the squash. We still have all those summer squashes that we think about, but you're going to start to see more butternut squash and acorn squash, and those things start popping up before the fall. But they still have that really great transient energy when we're moving seasons. So those are things that we can cook in the same way. To cook them a long time, they don't take a lot of effort. Just
Mhm.
add some cubed butternut squash on your salad or with whatever you're doing, and it helps, he says, to start anchoring and softening up as we move into the fall season.
Yes. So this is also help to sustain the energetic fire, the digestive fire. You're not wiping it out. You still have there, slowly transition to the season. So the goal is not to get sick during the fall season, because fall season is no longer a hard season. It's a long season. This is when people coughing, have lots of mucus, it a hard time to breathe, and of course when you get to the emotional part, this is when people, if you're not in alignment, you tend to get the buried grief coming up. So that's part of the season. So we are here today to not just talk about food, but we talk about the spiritual aspect of the food to prepare you for the transition. So we always said, eat with presence, cook with care, and then it's not just about to nourish the belly, but we have to nourish the spirit as well.
It's deprogramming us from all the stuff that we are being told and have been told about eat this and do this and count this many calories and this many grams of protein. And that's just not the way to do it. It's not the best way to do it. Traditionally, people didn't do that. So we want to retrain ourselves how to hear ourselves and listen to our own internal desires that are like indicator lights that say, I need some of this and I need some of that. So it's just a good skill. It'll take you a little while, but when you start with purpose in this kind of eating method, it'll just last your whole lifetime.
Perfect. Well, we came to the end of the conversation. Thank you so much, Dr. Erin, for today's conversation. It is very nourishing, perhaps. Yes, that's what I feel. I feel nourished just to have this conversation, a spirit nourishment. So if you guys happy with what we were talking about, don't forget to subscribe. And then until then, stay cool and let your food light you up from the inside out. Take care for now.